Hey friends, Wandering Pastor here, coming to you today about something that is making the headlines all over the place. I've wondered whether I should make a post about it, but I think in particular, if you think in terms of the end times like we've been talking about, it is something important to know about, because I don't believe it's going to go away. I believe it probably will become more and more ramped up even between now and election season. And so I want to make sure that I've said something out here about Israel, and it's really the nation of Israel and what should our relationship with them be. And there's really two main parts to this answer, and I'm going to deal with one of them today, the more practical piece, and I'm going to deal with another one in the upcoming video, and it's going to be the spiritual piece, okay? They are intertwined, as often things in the Bible are, but I wanted to take just a minute. First of all, when you think, why should we support or deny Israel? I believe we should support Israel. Why? Because number one, Israel is the only democracy in that whole region. And as a result, they have similar values to us. Now, not everything is the same, of course, but they have similar values to us. Maybe you didn't know this. There are Arabs on the Knesset, the governing body of Israel. It's a diverse group. There are liberals and conservatives, just like here. There are people from a wide variety of political viewpoints and backgrounds and everything in that Knesset. And that is something that should be applauded. And people who have nations that are governed similar to ours, we should stand up and applaud and go along with. And that's what we've historically done since Israel was conceived as a nation in 1948. We've stood with them. And I think there are a lot of reasons for that. So number one, it is a democracy. Number two, it is a diverse democracy. As I said, it has Arabs in its Knesset. It has the Palestinian people have, they have jobs there. If they want to do well in Israel, they can. There's freedom of movement and so on. And number three, the only reason that Israel is at war right now is because there are those who don't want them to exist. As someone has once said, there could be peace tomorrow if Israel's neighbors and those who are in opposition to it would just stop fighting and acknowledge their right to exist. If today Hamas and Hezbollah in Iran and Iraq and Yemen all said, you know what, we acknowledge Israel's right to exist. We are not going to oppose them anymore. We want them to be part of the family of nations. There would be peace tomorrow because Israel doesn't want to fight. But when you're surrounded by people who say, not only am I going to fight you, but I want to wipe you out. That's my reason for existence, is to wipe you out, to wipe you off the face of the earth. Then you can't be at peace with them. Hamas has said that in their very charter. They have not backed away from that. It is still in their charter and part of their belief system that Israel does not deserve to exist. The Jewish people do not deserve to exist. And so they're in opposition to them at every turn. And so Israel has tried over the last 80 years in their existence to make two-state solutions. Hamas doesn't want a two-state solution. Hezbollah does not want a two-state solution. They want Israel gone. And so as a democracy, as our ally, and as a peace-loving people, they deserve our support, our unequivocal support, not our wishy-washy support where we say we acknowledge their right to exist and to protect themselves, and then we withhold shipments of weapons for their defense from them. That's wishy-washy, and that is not good. And I'll tell you why it's not good. And this is where it kind of crosses over to a biblical piece as well. Back in Genesis chapter 12, God selected Abram and said, I'm going to make you into a great nation. And he said it this way in Genesis chapter 12, beginning in verse 1. He says, the Lord said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who treat you with contempt or curse you. All of the nations of the earth will be blessed through you. So what exactly does that mean? It means, among other things, that God was going to use Abram and use the nation of Israel to bless the world. He would go on to reveal his will, his moral and spiritual will, through the people of Israel. under Moses, right? The Ten Commandments and the law. He would go on to establish Israel in the promised land through the people of under Joshua's leadership. He would protect them and establish them, and then he would bless the entire world by sending his Messiah, Jesus, through the people of Israel. Jesus was key, obviously, for the Gentiles and the Jews, because we can all come to salvation through Jesus. And that would not have happened had Israel's enemies been able to wipe them off the map back then. But God intervened, and God protected, and God sustained. But when Israel continued to rebel, and when they continued to kind of try to compromise with the nations around them, and when they started to worship other gods, then God disciplined them and scattered them to the nations. So Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon came and overthrew them, and from that point forward, they were scattered until 1948. When they came back, first time in history that's ever happened, the same people came back to the same land and made the same nation again, the same area. And so now God continues to use them, and I believe continues to want to bless them, and will continue to do so in the end times. And I'll talk about that in the next time. But here's what it does to us. It says, okay, what should you do? I believe the United States as a freedom-loving, democratically elected government, as a constitutional republic, we should continue to be their ally. We should stand with them unequivocally. We should stand with them in their right to exist, and should absolutely encourage the nations around them and the groups of people around them to lay down their arms and to say, we acknowledge Israel's right to exist. And as right now, when you see all these protests around and people are chanting, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that's essentially going along with Hamas and saying, we're going to wipe Israel off the map. Israel doesn't deserve to be there. Hamas deserves that land. That's just not what I believe to be biblical, nor is it what I believe to be politically expedient. This is a democratically elected government, a democracy, an ally, a freedom-loving, progressive population that we need to unequivocally support. And so this is just part one, the political, practical reality that we need to support them. Part two, we'll talk about the spiritual and biblical reality of why that even matters, especially as a Christian, and especially when we're talking about the end times, because it makes a big difference, okay? So I'll talk about that again in the future. But if you're wondering, where should we stand on this stuff? I believe, unequivocally, we should stand with Israel. And for peace, yes, but for peace through strength and peace through victory. Because, again, when the nations around them or the peoples around them are trying to annihilate them, then getting along is not reasonable. Okay? So that's my part one. Stay tuned for part two. This is Wandering Pastor saying peace. I hope you have a great day. Thanks.